In this segment, we're going to cover equipment inspections and operations of equipment. So each day is your job as an operator. You will be presented either the yellow card or the green card. Yellow's in English, green's in Spanish. These are your equipment cards. It gives you a whole list on the front of items that you have to check each day prior to the equipment being operated. On the back, there's 31 days. So each day that you inspect it, whatever the calendar day is, if the day happened to be the 11th, then you would initial on the 11th day of the month. If you find deficiencies in your inspection, it is recorded on the bottom of the cards, and at that point you would turn these in to your supervisor, and the equipment would be tagged out of service until it is fixed. Once it's fixed, then you would be presented another card and you would sign back in on the day it was put back into service. So the list of things that you are to check as an operator, and this is on owned or rented equipment, is the operator's cab protections in place? Are all the guards in place on each piece of equipment? Seat belt in place? Fire extinguisher, is it fully charged and available? Clean out any trash and debris. Housekeeping is paramount in this equipment for safe operations for you and your employees that work around you. Inspect the bucket, the blades on each piece of equipment. Grease all moving parts, checking all fluid levels. It's always important to inspect your hydraulic cylinders on these pieces of equipment. Checking for leaks where your hoses connect to the cylinders, as well as the top of the cylinder here, where it comes in and out of its protective covering. Checking for leaks, making sure the seals are still in place. If this is leaking, then it could hurt the functionality of the equipment, or even in an off-road truck like this could cause a tip over. Checking your tires, your tracks, the functionality of the quick attach couplers. We're going to show you about the quick attach couplers that happens to be on our excavators, our skid steers, and also our rubber tired loaders. So I'm gonna have Adrian unattach this bucket and we'll talk more about it. Adrian, if you would. So if you notice on this quick attach, you couldn't see this grease fitting right here. There's another one just like it on the opposite side. These have to be greased daily. So the quick coupler locking mechanism will open and close fluidly as it's supposed to prevent the unattachment of the bucket. Adrian, if you would, hook it back up. Is your horn working functionally on each piece of equipment? Inspect the belts in the moving parts of equipment. Visually check for any leaks. Clean the roller frames out at the end of each day. Checking your windshields, making sure there's no cracks. Make sure the windshield wipers are there and in place and functioning. Making sure not least, but always check for backup alarm functioning properly to protect you and the other employees and people working around you. As you can tell, using the buddy system, I can hear his backup alarm is functioning properly, and at that point I will give him a thumbs up. Each piece of equipment that DH Griffin owns or rents has to have a fire extinguisher in it. Has to be in good working order, has to be, the little nice needle has to be in the green area only. If it's overcharged, it's no good. If it's undercharged, it's no good. At that point, you need to notify your supervisor and have it replaced. It should also have a tag on it, making sure that the current annual inspection is in place and it's good. And then on the back of the card, it should be signed off on, dated and initialed for the month that you're operating in. These things should always be readily available. Always make sure the nice little zip tie, breakable zip tie here is in place to hold the pin. If this pin happens to come out and you would happen to discharge in the cab, you would not like it. So if you notice Adrian setting up in the cab of this piece of equipment, he has the door open and the window open. DH Griffin's policy is, and OHSA, that if the cab of the equipment is open, 100% PPE is required. So that means your hard hat, your safety glasses, your vest, and he also has his seatbelt on. Seatbelts are required 100% of the time when operating equipment. Your chance of survival is 100% greater with the seatbelt on than with it off, and you getting tossed out of the equipment and it rolling over on you. So if Adrian would shut his window and his door, then he could relax all of his PPE until at which point he is ready to exit the equipment, and it all has to be placed back on. These inspections are not to be taken lightly. There's always two families counting on you. Your family at home and your work family. You doing your job correctly will ensure you being able to get home in the afternoon to enjoy your other family and being able to come back and work with your work family the next day. Do not take these inspections lightly.